I signed a death warrant for my best advisor. By the time I realized I'd been played, it was too late. This is how one night changed everything. I thought I knew about power. Picture this. You're the most powerful man on earth. You command 120 provinces. Millions of subjects bow when you walk by. Your word is literally law. So why couldn't you save the life of one old Jewish man who'd become like a father to you? I'm Darius the Mede, king of the greatest empire the world had ever seen. I conquered nations. I commanded armies. I ruled with absolute authority. But none of that prepared me for what happened when my advisors decided to eliminate my chief advisor and confidant, one elderly Jewish exile named Daniel. See, everyone knows this story from Daniel's perspective. The faithful man of God thrown to the lions, the miraculous rescue, the happy ending. But no one talks about what it was like to be the king who put him there. What it was like to pace the palace floors all night, knowing you just murdered your most trusted friend. What it was like to discover that all your power meant absolutely nothing when it mattered most. Most people think I was just some pagan king who got tricked and learned a lesson. That's not even close to the truth. The truth is, Daniel had been teaching me about his God for months. That lion's den experience. It was the culmination of a relationship that completely changed my understanding of divine power. In the next 20 minutes, I'll take you inside the palace intrigue, the genuine affection I had for Daniel, and the longest, most terrifying night of my entire reign. Because sometimes God's greatest miracles aren't just designed to save his people. They're designed to reach the hearts of those who seem completely unreachable. Let me start from the beginning. When I inherited this massive empire, I had one problem: trust. In a court filled with backstabbing politicians and scheming advisors, finding someone truly trustworthy was like finding gold in a garbage heap. Then I met Daniel. This guy wasn't just competent, he was incorruptible. In a world where everyone had a price, Daniel couldn't be bought. Where everyone had an agenda, Daniel only cared about truth. I remember the first time he contradicted me in front of the entire court. My other advisors were nodding along with everything I said. As usual, then Daniel stands up. My king with respect. That approach will bankrupt the treasury within 6 months. The room went dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. My other advisors looked like they were watching a man sign his own death warrant, but Daniel just stood there, calm as anything, waiting for my response. I could have had him executed on the spot. That's what kings do when you embarrass them publicly, right? Instead, I asked him to explain. He pulled out these scrolls covered in calculations, showed me exactly why my plan wouldn't work, offered 3 alternative solutions that would actually save money while achieving the same goals. That night, I called him to my private chambers. Daniel, these other advisors keep telling me what they think I want to hear. You tell me what I need to hear. Why is that? His response floored me. My king, I serve a God who values truth above convenience. If I lie to you to save my own skin, I dishonor both you and my God. Better to speak truth and face the consequences. I'd never heard anything like it. This man feared his invisible God more than he feared me. And somehow, that made me trust him completely. Over the next few months, Daniel became irreplaceable. While my other advisors played politics, Daniel solved problems. While they schemed for position, Daniel worked tirelessly for the good of the empire. I started giving him more and more responsibility. Soon, he was essentially running the day-to-day operations of the entire kingdom. And that's when the other advisors started getting nervous. Here's what I was too blind to see at the time. While I was growing closer to Daniel, my other administrators were growing more desperate. They watched this Jewish exile rise higher and higher in my favor. They saw their own influence slipping away, so they started looking for dirt on Daniel. They searched his financial records. Nothing. They investigated his personal life. Spotless. They looked for corruption in his administration. Not a single irregularity. They even sent spies to watch his daily routine, hoping to catch him in some scandal. What they found instead was a man who woke up early every morning, opened his windows toward Jerusalem, and prayed to his God 3 times a day. Rain or shine, busy or not, Daniel never missed his prayer time, and that gave them an idea. The most diabolical, brilliant, evil idea they'd ever had. They couldn't attack Daniel's character. They couldn't find corruption in his work. They couldn't discredit his loyalty to the empire, but they could use his loyalty to God against him. So they came to me with this proposal. Your Majesty, we've been thinking. You've unified this empire under your rule, but the people still worship dozens of different gods. What if, just for 30 days, everyone had to direct their prayers to you alone? Think of the unity it would create, the respect it would show for royal authority. Now, I need you to understand something. I didn't consider myself a god. This wasn't about ego or divine pretension. This was presented to me as a smart political move, a way to strengthen central authority and create unity across diverse religious groups. Just 30 days, they said. Anyone who prays to any god or man except you during this period will be thrown into the den of lions. It'll show everyone that loyalty to the empire comes first. It sounded reasonable. 30 days of unified focus on royal authority, while still allowing people to return to their regular worship afterward. I should have seen the trap. I should have asked more questions. I should have wondered why they were suddenly so concerned about religious unity, but I didn't. I signed the decree without even thinking about Daniel. The moment that seal touched the wax, I had just signed the death warrant of my most trusted friend, but I didn't realize it yet. The law of the Medes and Persians is absolute. Once a decree is signed and sealed, it cannot be changed. Not by the king. Not by anyone. That's what made our empire stable and trustworthy. Our word was literally law. 2 days later, they brought Daniel to me in chains. The second I saw him, everything clicked into place. The religious unity proposal, the 30-day timeline, the focus on prayer specifically. They'd played me perfectly. Your Majesty, one of the scheming advisors said with fake concern, we hate to bring this to your attention, but Daniel has been openly defying your decree. Every day, 3 times a day, he prays to his God with his windows open for everyone to see. I looked at Daniel. His face wasn't defiant or angry. He just looked sad. Not sad for himself, sad for me, because he could see exactly what these people did to me. Daniel, I said, hoping against hope, tell me this isn't true. He looked me straight in the eyes. My king, I have served you faithfully in every way I can, but I cannot stop praying to my God. Not for 30 days, not for 30 minutes. I would rather die. My heart sank. Because I knew Daniel well enough to know he meant every word, I dismissed the court immediately. Everyone out. Now, when we were alone, I grabbed Daniel by the shoulders. Daniel, I would give half my kingdom to undo this. Your God, can he really save you from this? Daniel's response was so calm, so peaceful, it almost broke me. My king, my God is able to deliver me from the lions. But even if he chooses not to, I cannot deny him now. That's when I truly understood what I was up against. This wasn't just a matter of changing Daniel's mind or finding a compromise. This was about 2 completely different kinds of loyalty, and Daniel had chosen which one mattered more. I spent the entire day with my legal advisors, desperately searching for loopholes, technicalities, anything to save Daniel. Surely there's some exception, I pleaded. Some precedent we can use. My chief legal counsel shook his head grimly. Your Majesty, the law is clear, and you know as well as anyone. The law of the Medes and Persians cannot be revoked, even by the king who signed it. For the first time in my entire life, I understood what it meant to be truly powerless. I was the most powerful man on earth, and I couldn't save my best friend from a law I'd written myself. As the sun began to set, I had to give the order. Bring Daniel to the den of lions. Walking to the execution site was the longest walk of my life. Daniel walked beside me, still calm, still at peace. "Daniel," I whispered so only he could hear. "I'm so sorry." He looked at me with those kind eyes. "My king, you were deceived, but my God was not surprised by this. Trust him to work all things for good." When we reached the den, I could hear the lions below. Hungry, restless, deadly, they lowered Daniel down on a platform. I watched my dearest friend disappear into that darkness with those beasts. As they rolled the massive stone over the opening, I spoke words I never thought I'd say to anyone's God, but my own. "May your God, whom you serve so faithfully, rescue you." Then I sealed the stone with my own royal ring and the rings of my nobles, making it impossible for anyone to interfere with whatever was about to happen. I walked back to the palace in complete silence. That night was the longest night of my life. I couldn't eat. The smell of food made me sick. I couldn't listen to music. Every note sounded like a funeral dirge. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Daniel's peaceful face disappearing into that pit of death. I dismissed all the entertainers, sent away the musicians, refused to see any of my other advisors. All I could think about was Daniel, alone in that den, with those lions, and somewhere in the darkness of that endless night, I found myself doing something I'd never done before. I prayed to Daniel's God, God of Daniel. I whispered into the darkness, "If you are real, if you have power over life and death, please don't let my foolishness cost the life of this good man. He's served you faithfully his entire life. He doesn't deserve to die, because I was too stupid to see a trap." I paced the floors until dawn. The moment I saw the first hint of light on the horizon, I sprinted toward the lion's den. My heart was pounding so hard I could barely breathe. I had no idea what I'd find, but I had to know. When I reached the den, I called out with everything I had. "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to rescue you from the lions?" For a moment there was nothing but silence, and my heart shattered. Then I heard the most beautiful sound in the world. Daniel's voice, strong and clear, and very much alive. "O King, live forever. My God sent his angel and shut the lions' mouths, and they have not harmed me, because innocence was found in me before him, and also before you. O King, I have committed no crime." I almost collapsed with relief. We rolled away the stone as fast as we could and pulled Daniel up out of that den. I grabbed him and examined every inch of him. Not a scratch, not a bite mark, not even torn clothing. "Daniel, how did you survive? Were you terrified?" His response absolutely floored me. "My king, my God sent his angel to shut the lions' mouths. But honestly, I slept like a baby. The presence of my God was so strong. I felt safer in that den than I do most nights, in my own bed. I couldn't believe it. Here I was, the king, lying awake all night in my palace, consumed with worry and guilt. But Daniel, surrounded by hungry lions, slept peacefully because his God was with him. That's when I truly understood the difference between earthly power and divine presence. But the story wasn't over yet. My rage toward those scheming advisors burned hotter than a furnace.
He manipulated me, used my authority as a weapon against my dearest friend.
Made me an unwilling participant in attempted murder. I had them arrested immediately.
He manipulated me.
Along with their wives and children, the standard punishment for treason in our empire.
You want to see how the lions respond to people who aren't protected by Daniel's God, I said.
We threw them into the same den. The same lions that had been gentle as lambs with Daniel became instruments of divine justice within seconds. All they were overpowered before they even hit the bottom. The contrast was unmistakable.
All
the same beasts, the same den, but completely different results. This wasn't just about Daniel's deliverance. This was about God revealing himself to a pagan king who was finally ready to see divine power and justice in action. I immediately wrote a decree to be sent throughout the entire empire, to all peoples, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth. Peace be multiplied to you. I make a decree that in every dominion of my kingdom men must tremble and fear before the God of Daniel. For he is the living God, and steadfast forever. His kingdom is the one which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall endure to the end. He delivers and rescues, and he works signs and wonders in heaven and on earth. Who has delivered Daniel from the power of the lions? But more than the public decree, something had changed in my heart. Daniel walked out of that den without a scratch, but I was the one who was truly delivered that day. I learned that real power isn't the ability to command armies. It's the peace that comes from knowing the God who commands everything. See, I thought I was the main character in this story, the powerful king making the big decisions, but I was just a supporting character in God's much larger plan. God had placed Daniel strategically in my court, not just to serve my empire efficiently, but to slowly, patiently, lovingly introduce me to the God of Israel. Every conversation we'd had about truth over convenience, every example of integrity Daniel had shown, every time he'd chosen to honor God even when it might cost him politically, it was all preparing my heart for this moment. The lion's den wasn't just about saving Daniel, it was about reaching me. Think about it. God could have prevented the whole situation. He could have given Daniel wisdom to avoid the trap. He could have changed my heart before I signed the decree. But instead, he allowed his faithful servant to walk into that den, because he knew that's what it would take to reach a pagan king's heart. God doesn't just save his people from danger. He uses their faithfulness to reach hearts that seem impossible to touch. After that night, my relationship with Daniel changed. He wasn't just my advisor anymore. He was my spiritual mentor, the man who introduced me to the living God, and my understanding of power changed completely. For years, I thought power meant having people obey you out of fear, but watching Daniel, I learned that true power means having people trust you out of love. I thought power meant never showing weakness. But that night, falling on my knees before Daniel's God, I discovered that admitting powerlessness can be the most powerful thing you ever do. I thought power meant controlling everything around you, but Daniel taught me that real power comes from surrendering control to the God who actually runs the next time someone tells you that God can't reach someone because they're too powerful, too different, or too far from faith, remember this story. He used an elderly Jewish exile to reach the heart of a pagan king. If he can do that, he can reach anyone. Maybe you're in leadership right now, struggling with the loneliness of power or the weight of difficult decisions. Maybe you've made choices you regret and feel trapped by the consequences. Or maybe you're wondering if God really cares about people who aren't religious enough or don't have their lives together. This story is for you. God specializes in using unexpected people to reach unlikely hearts through impossible circumstances. Who's the Daniel in your life? That person whose quiet faithfulness is slowly influencing your heart toward God. Or maybe you're the Daniel, wondering if your consistent witness really matters to those around you. Trust me, it matters more than you know. Because sometimes the most powerful miracles happen not when God changes our circumstances, but when He uses our circumstances to change us. And sometimes the person who needs rescuing isn't the one in the lion's den. Sometimes it's the one who put them there. This is Bible Behind the Scenes, where we uncover the stories they might not have taught you in Sunday school. If hearing Daniel's story through Darius's eyes opened your heart to God's sovereignty and love, hit that subscribe button. Comment below what surprised you most, that a pagan king could be so vulnerable and broken. or that God orchestrated the entire lion's den experience, not just to save Daniel, but to reach the heart of the most powerful man on earth. Next, we'll bring you an untold version of another Bible story that will challenge everything you thought you knew about divine justice and human mercy. Until then, remember, God's greatest miracles often happen in the hearts of those who seem the most unreachable.